Okay, how about now? That's very Tim of me to keep talking when there's no audio. Let me make sure I'm hearing. Can you hear me now? Yes? No? There we go. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Sorry about that, but there's always got to be one technical miss-up on every stream, and I guess that was today's. So I guess we're going to roll with it. So hi, everyone. I'm Timothy von Rueden, better known as vonnart Online. And today I'm going to be doing just a drawing with chat. This isn't a typical tutorial one. I'm going to just be working on a thumbnail that I did about 2 weeks ago. So if you want to work alongside me, that would be great. And yeah. Josh is not with us as the moderator. He is in the other room doing the shipping, and he is here in spirit though. He's watching, and I gave him $5 to test out our new feature, which is a text-to-speech donation voice box. And this is something that I've had requested added to these streams for a really long time. So try to be respectful with it. And if you donate at least $1, you'll hear your text aloud. And I think for today, I'm just going to be talking about anything. So if you have any questions regarding art, the business of art, movies, whatever it is, I am down to talk with you guys, and hopefully you'll work alongside me, because that's kind of the point of the stream today. Now, as I like to start these, if you want to put where you're watching from, I will go ahead and give some shout outs as I do some of the announcements as well. And then we will get going on drawing today. And as requested, I did put my drawing supplies in the, I hope I did. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure I did. As I say that, I'm thinking I have to double check myself here. But I did put what pencils and erasers I work with. Kind of the point of the stream today. Okay, well you can definitely hear me. Okay, I did. I did put the tools of the trade. Okay, that's good to know. And the big announcements I have aren't really announcements so much as I'm working on this drawing, which was more of a warm-up that turned into something more fun, and then I decided to turn it into like an experiment working with different textiles and different kind of graphic design elements. So if there is a textile that you think is really cool or really fun, if you put it in the Discord channel below, which you can join, I have a, what channel should I put it in? I think Stream Suggestions. It's a new channel I created this morning. It's more for like suggestions on what you would like to see the stream on, but oh no.
Yes, it's still donated $1. Potato, banana, paprika, lala, 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 lala.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to have so much fun with this. Thank you, Tijal. Yeah, so that's Justin. Welcome, Justin, to the chat. But if you want to post the textile in there, you might see it end up in the drawing. So I'm very excited for this one. I did this because I just got finished working on my new tarot card, which I have here. So this is the High Priestess, and this one was a doozy for me, to say the least. And I needed something a little more organic, more free flow, because this one felt very structured, very tight. So I decided to change it up and do something that was less restrictive, and I think that's why I want to play with textiles, and I want to play with very flat design against a kind of 3D realized person, but have really the experiment be with that. So yeah, and for those who have been asking, I have only done 3 tarot cards. I'm not moving at the quickest pace ever, but I am working on it, and I already started my 4th one. And the last thing is, if you guys know the artist by the name of, and I always mispronounce it, but it's Eliza, I believe. I got her book, and it's very brilliant as expected. But for those of you who are looking for an art book, it's not so much an art book as it really is a tutorial book on how she creates her drawings and like different tips and suggestions. So even though it's called The Art of Eliza, I definitely would say it's more of like a tutorial book. So if that's something you're interested in, I would definitely recommend it. Okay, everyone. Hello, hello. And thank you, Tijal, for being the first chat donation. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. Oh, hello, everyone. watching from London. Well, hello, Theory. Nad from England, hello. Dina from Germany, hello, hello. Well, thank you, Shia, for donating
$1.
Oh no.
Planes go WH and boats go BU.
I was expecting something way longer than that. Well, thank you, Shia. I know I'm still learning how the text speech works. Like, I don't know. I know if you do. Well, you know what? I'll let it be a surprise because I think it'll be pretty fun. But thank you for donating. So this is the thumbnail I'll be working on today, and I guess just a little notion as to why I'm doing this one. Let's just say the High Priestess really wore me out, and it was a struggle. I think with all the talk of NFT in the art community, and this is like big raging debate right now, and it's something that at first I was interested in, but then as I started doing more research, I really was kind of turned off by the whole thing, and it really messed with me. I think it messed with me wanting to do my art. I feel like a lot of the focus in the art world in general was more on making a profit rather than making art that felt authentic and had more of like an individual voice. And I have to remind myself, or I did remind myself, that I don't do art for certain purposes besides I just really like drawing, and I don't want my mind to get clouded on, oh, I have to make this. And that is what I'm going to be working on today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. And if you want to just start up some conversation, I am here for you guys. All right, let's go ahead and get it. So I also want to make sure I'm in the center of the screen here. And like I don't really need to necessarily talk about NFTs because I feel like everyone else is having that conversation. But I will say that I do have artists on both sides that I'm friends with, and I just decided to, take a step back from this one. I don't really need to be involved, and I would rather just keep focusing on the tarot deck. I have a Kickstarter next month that I need to really focus on, and I would rather give my energy to those things. Oh, hello, hello. Tijal, I'm a professional troll. I can't not abuse this. I honestly think that this will add so much fun to it because I watched this one streamer. His name's Noel Miller, and I think he's really funny, but this was the same voice to, or text to chat, or text to voice. I think it's text to speech. And I'm so glad I was able to find this one, but I didn't realize his name was Justin, which I think it makes it even more funny because it sounds like this ASMR teenage kid. I think it's great. So normally when I start off my drawings, I keep it very light. I'm working with a 6H. I couldn't find my 2H before the stream. Well, oh no.
The underscore cat donated $1. Meow meow meow. Oh meow 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 meow.
Well, thank you, Astrid the cat. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a joy to work with. But thank you. Hello from Indy. Hello, hello. I'm so glad to join during spring break. Well, that's right. For a lot of you, this is spring break right now. I know, kind of a weird spring break year for sure. Things are going to definitely be a little different, but I do feel like things are going to be turning the corner very soon. I don't know about you guys, but from what I keep hearing, it sounds like we're getting close to the end of all this. Or at least that's what I want to believe it as well, because I want to go back to cons, I want to go out again. Just a little while longer. Hello, hello. Are you late? No, you are not. Oh yeah, Scar. Oh yeah, Scar. Oh, that's pretty good. Oracle says, do you put your emotions into your art? Have you ever succeeded in drawing yourself out of depression? Yeah. I would say in my early 20s, I was going definitely through a phase of like heartbreak and uncertainty. And honestly, my first sketchbook that I made, it was back in 2013, 2014. I basically made it because I was so fed up with life and more or less certain people, and I needed a distraction. And art was the best distraction I could have had because not only was it helping me express my feelings at that time in a more healthy manner, but it was also in a productive manner because then all that emotion, all that frustration, all that kind of built up, not necessarily anger, but disappointment was put into my art. And then I was able to make a book. And I think the success from that first book, even though at the time it was, I think, 3,000 something that I made from that first Kickstarter. To me, that was like striking gold. I literally thought that I I remember at the time I was like, oh my gosh, I'm rich. I just made $3,000. But now looking at like, now that I'm in my early 30s, I realize, yeah, 3,000's a good chunk. But when you have a house mortgage and bills and loans and especially when you're in the business of art making, like things cost a lot of money. And regardless, I was able to definitely take all of my pent up emotion, put it into work, and I would consider that kind of drawing out of a down place. But now that I'm much older, I feel like I have other methods of kind of pulling me out, and I feel very strong as a person. I definitely want to help others now. I feel like I'm at a point where I can help others either pull themselves out or see that uh, there's not just one way of thinking, and if you're feeling down or if you're feeling sad, it's a temporary thing, and you can definitely get out of it. Is anyone else getting a lot of buffering? Oh, I hope not. That's something I guess I'll have to check into next week, but hopefully it's not buffering too bad for you guys. Ash says it definitely tore the art community a bit as well. Yeah, I would say watching the NFT debate was it was not fun. Especially seeing, I mean, I have friends, I have a lot of art friends, and it was it was not good. I don't know if you guys saw like the blunt of it, but especially with, like this is a time when ArtStation was going to do their NFT site, and then that got pulled because of the backlash from Twitter. And yeah, I don't know. It's something that I have realized I spend way too much time researching, and I decided to kind of turn all that off because I had like a week where I felt I wasted so much time being involved in doing the research, but not doing any of it, not even like submitting my own NFTs, just doing research. And I realized I was wasting my time. And I guess maybe that's a good lesson for me to learn and continue to learn no matter how old I get. It's that, we allow certain distractions into our life. And I was allowing, the whole debate around NFTs to consume my thoughts, to consume what I was researching, what I was looking into, rather than like spending time on my next drawing or looking into, something that's a little more productive. So I hope you guys are kind of feeling the same boat with that. If you don't even know what NFTs are, I mean, you're one of the lucky ones because I feel like that's all the art community is talking about now. And I'm so ready to be over it. Theory. Oh yeah, and if you guys have any comments or questions, if you could put at vonnart before it, that way I can see it as I'm going between the drawing and the comment section here on the left. Theory says, I know you like Lana Del Rey. Are you going to listen to Chemtrails this Friday? I thought it launches on Monday. I could be wrong, though. But I'm going to be listening to the new Lana album. And honestly, I'll probably do some art for it. Lana is just one of those artists that, I just really enjoy. I really enjoy Lana. And I feel like she was one of those artists that when I was in that said, bad place in my early 20s, I think her music was something I would always listen to, and it kind of pulled me out. Or sometimes, maybe not even pulled me out, but sometimes it's just nice feeling like it resonates with how you're feeling at that time, because now it's different. Like it's weird for me to listen to sad music now, because it's not so much that I'm sad at all. Actually, I'm probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. But it's more or less I like the floaty orchestral kind of back music that a lot of melancholic songs tend to have with them. But I'm glad that Lana kind of also became a little more happy. Oh, hello, hello. Yes, Astrid is in the chat. Conventions will return. As of right now, the first one that we're signed up for that is kind of on the brink of maybe canceling, maybe not, is Gen Con in Indianapolis. And that is in August. So we will see. I could see it going either way. I know a lot of people are saying it will cancel, but you never know. And I feel like there's a lot of the vaccinations going out now. But this is another thing that kind of like NFTs, where the more research I do on it, though, I either just spend a lot of time researching something that I feel like I didn't really get many answers to, and then it consumes my thoughts. So similar to NFTs, I try to focus less on like when our con's going to come back and more on, okay, what's my next art piece that I'm going to do? Let me, how did I want, oh yeah, that's right. I want hands in this drawing. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot about these. I took a reference photo of myself, but I think I'm going to make this head bald. Anyways, we're going to keep it looking like that. But I will add hands into this. Like that. Ella says, hey, how do you come up with the ideas for a tarot card? What's your thought process when you get a prompt such as the High Priestess? So when I start a card, I do a lot of research on the card's meaning before I even start it. So I try to do a lot of idea generating. I try to look into like what are the different symbols in a card. So for example, with High Priestess, mini tarot lesson here. So High Priestess is the number 2 in the major arcana, and she represents a lot of like mysterious energy and a trusting intuition and looking inward rather than outward for answers. So she is also supposed to represent like the main figure in which all emotions kind of stem out of. And water is a very representation form of emotion in tarot. And that's why her dress turns into the water, which is kind of like this broad, vast ocean. And this one site that I was reading through said that all the water comes from her dress. So whenever you see any tarot card with water within it, it has originated from her. And I like that. So I wanted to keep that illusion of her dress like turning to the ocean and it's like continuing to spill out. And I mean, there are just so many elements within this card specifically. It's like the 2 pillars that are 2 pillars in a Hebrew temple or on the outside. She has to be placed right in the middle because there's a dark and a light side to simplify it. But it doesn't just mean like evil and good. It symbolizes more things than just that. But you can see she's placed right in the center, so she's neutral. She's neither leaning toward the light nor the dark, and that's how I interpret it of like thoughts. Thoughts aren't necessarily good or bad. And then the plus sign or the cross on her chest is supposed to symbolize the 4 elements of air, fire, earth, wind. And then the moon phases are meant to represent a maiden's life from, I think it's maiden. Oh, it's the waning phases. And then, it's something that represents motherhood, and then crone. There's names for them specifically, but normally they're in a headpiece that she's wearing. She's wearing like this giant headpiece, but instead I made it her jewelry and a giant moon on her actual neck, on like her turtleneck there. So I thought it'd be kind of a cool visual nod to the moons. And then lastly, she's standing in front of this giant wall of pomegranates. And that honestly was the most frustrating thing to draw in a long time for me because I changed it up so many times. I didn't know if I wanted them to look more realistic or more design heavy. Subway
donated $1. All the years, all the subs. Subway will always get you through anything.
Oh, thank you, Subway. I love you so much. We're going to you after the stream's over. But yeah, this one was definitely a a very difficult one for me. Oh, and the last thing I should say is this book is often a scroll as well. And you can see how it's facing her, but we're not allowed to see it. And she's reading it as if she's able to see like what will come. And it's kind of this message to the viewer, whoever you're reading it to, is to not so much just rely on first thought, but to really do some deep spiritual research within to find the answers that you're seeking. So it's kind of fun because every card that I do, I learn about what its meaning is and how to kind of interpret it in a tarot reading. So this has been really fun for me to get into. Oh,
Trixie _ Michelle donated $1. Yes, God work the arch, slay the house down boots, mommy, you better work back rolls, bam, work that body, yogi yogi. Come through, come the mother dust, get those nuts away from my face. Eleganza extravaganza. So.
Oh, barely typed too much, Trixie. Well, thank you so much for the $1. And I'm glad you're able to join us from your so busy schedule. Another fellow Wisconsinite. Drag queen, of course, but what I do is very similar. We're both visual artists. I'd say drag queens have it a little more difficult on the being witty. I'm not quite at that level, but I have moments. I would say I have moments. Anthony says, the more I evolve as an artist, the more I'm discovering how my art process works. That's something I feel like SCAD failed because we all had to do the exact same process. I'm happy now. I think about this from time to time with art school and the difference between what you learn on your own versus what you learn in school. I think it's great that schools can teach you the aspects of technical ability, but I agree with you where that doesn't mean that you should leave behind your natural intuitive way of going about drawing. And even for myself, I've learned that, yeah, I don't always do things 100% realistic, but I enjoy the look of contrast, and I sometimes like to mess with proportions of things. And I think it's okay to, step outside that realism box or the way that things are, naturally meant to be valued and shaded. So I'm glad that you were able to, get out of that box. And as much as I think in education can be really beneficial for like technical learning, it's one of those things that never lose your, intuitive creative side, because I think that's where a lot of the gold comes from of doing art. And I think too many artists nowadays rely on, art that's pretty rather than art that has depth and meaning. Hello, everyone. T-Bot says, when it comes to drawing heads at specific angles, what technique do you use? I've been struggling drawing head views and angles, so I just like some tips. I mean, it's as simple as honestly doing a lot of warm-up sketches, but using reference. I think 100% the best way at getting better at drawing heads or any anatomical feature, like if you want to get better at drawing hands, well, take a lot of reference photos of your own hands and get to work. I think that's why I feel very comfortable now drawing hands, because I've drawn so many of them in my life that it's at the point where it's kind of ridiculous. Like, I should be able to draw a hand eyes closed, but I will say they usually do always turn out better when I take reference, because I have reference photos even for today's hands. I just did a quick photo of me in the position that I want, and that is what I'm drawing today, and that's why I recommend it. I lost my train of thought there. I looked at my reference image and I was like, wait, is that where my hand position was? But also I wanted the hands to look a little different from the left to right side. So that's why I'm gonna make them look a little different here. Dina says, I already have ideas for your sketch, but it feels rude to talk into your drawing this early. No, honestly, throw them my way. I am not married to any idea or concept when I do these type of streams in the future even. So if you feel you want to give me a suggestion or a critique, if something looks really off, sometimes I don't notice it because I'm drawing at an angle, like a slant, so I may not even see it. But if you see something that is like critically wrong with the positioning, or you're like, oh, that's looking really bad, just let me know. I am not sensitive. I am not someone that will get offended by it. Because even this hand, I gotta fix it up a bit. Make this a little shorter. And I mean, sometimes when I draw, I do a very light, definitive outline like this, where it doesn't feel as like loose and lines everywhere, because I came in with a pretty easy to follow narration of a drawing. I'm just kind of going about recreating that initial thumbnail rather than like exploring other ways to complete it here. Oh, you know what? I can show you. I mean, Angela, if you're watching right now, turn off. Because I'm going to show a little thing that I made for you today. So tonight we are celebrating one of my friends' birthdays, and yesterday I made some little magnets while I was on a call with some art friends. So if any of you have played Little Nightmares 2, I made a little gnome magnet. I made a 6-1, who's kind of the main character of the first game, and then I made Mono, who's like the main character of the second game, and I actually made it out of real paper bags. So I thought it'd be a cute little set to go on her fridge. So I'm very excited to share that with her tonight. Okay. Yeah, I'm already feeling pretty good about the initial drawing. I might pull up the line just a little bit, because I almost want it to look like it almost connects together. Like it's like that far of a difference, rather than it being so, oh, I hit my glasses there, so slanted. Maybe I'll even zoom in for you guys. Well, thank you guys. Helena says, this drawing is now one of my favorites of yours of all time. And the chat just refreshed. Oh, there's a lot of questions. Well, thank you. And now learning more about the symbolism makes me love it more. Yeah, I that's why I love tarot. I love when a visual element or a symbol represents something deeper that you can either read into it more. And tarot is very interpretive to whoever's reading it in a lot of ways. I mean, there's definitely certain things that, like, the Ten of Cups is almost always read as a very happy card, and the Tower is usually always representing the destruction or the downfall of something in your life. But you can kind of change the reading based on, especially the spread. I like doing Celtic readings, a traditional Celtic reading, which are many cards. There's 10 of them. And, the meanings of the cards can change just slightly depending on the other cards that are around it. And I don't know about you guys, and I don't know if this is a hot topic or controversial to say, but I totally don't believe in the, hoodoo juju of it. But I do believe that tarot for me starts a conversation, and especially with people that you love and care for. I think whenever I do tarot readings on other people, I mean, my best friend Kat, every time I do a reading on her, she ends up crying. Because usually if a card comes up where it might be discussing her, her relationship with her father or something that may be bothering her internally, it almost always, brings about a more emotional response. But for me, when I'm reading it, I definitely notice I might be talking out loud, especially if I'm having someone else read my own spread, where I think sometimes we're in our heads so much all the time. And I think tarot allows you to discuss things openly with another person. And sometimes just talking it out, like physically, uttering the words out, can help you move past what might be bothering you. So that's what I really like about tarot. And I don't believe I'm like tapping into, you know, the spiritual voices of yesteryear, or I'm, you know, I don't think I'm a, you know, what would that even be considered? Not a psychic. What's it called when you can, a spirit? Oh, now I'm messing myself up. Whatever that is, I don't think I'm it. Instead, though, I love having conversations with people and maybe helping them through, you know, talking about what their problems are. Okay, I gotta catch up here. Yes, maiden, mother, crone. That is the triple. Thank you, thank you. Oh, Oscar says, do you have a favorite creepy art style artist? I'm currently working on drawing demons. I love Charles Lister. He's probably one of my favorite modern pencil artists. But I really like, I mean, how can you not like Beksinski? But he doesn't really do figures as much as he does landscapes. I really enjoy Harry Clark. It's not technically like gory, or it doesn't have those horror elements, but I would definitely say it's very macabre and it's very detailed. I think it's very lovely. So yeah, those would be a few of my favorites. Anthony says, in Greece, the garnet is seen as the stone of life because it looks like pomegranate seeds, which are associated with Persephone. I did read that. Yeah, or it could also be of grain and something with the mother of plenty. Yeah, Digital, you donated too much. Ned says, I'm thinking of creating tarot cards for my MA illustration project. Are there any good websites or books you can recommend for research purposes? I have, honestly, my favorite book of all time, I think it's called just How to Read Tarot. I think it's excellent. I would definitely recommend that one. I mean, just so you know, going into it, tarot is definitely a hard project to get into. It's something that I knew would be very time consuming. And if you're up for the task, I do wish you the best of luck, because it's a little daunting. Admittedly, it's a little daunting. But it's very fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Give a little indication. Is that neck too thick? I think that neck is a bit too thick here. Elena says, I've been trying to draw more art that has a story, partly inspired by your pieces. I have a huge personal piece on the way, but I have a couple of other pieces to finish before I get to it. That is great. I really love when artists pull from their own life and interpret it into, you know, whatever medium you work with. I think art's just one of those things that can be very healing. It can be very touching for a lot of people, and I think it reads that way too. When you look at art, especially when you look on Instagram, you can tell the artists that are kind of just phoning it in. I mean, I've done it before. I know what that's like, where you're like, I just, you know, okay, here's swirls and curls. There's a lot of filigree, and bam, put some flower petals floating in it. And it's not always a bad thing, because I think sometimes, you know, we aren't just motivated by emotions every day of our life. I mean, maybe you are. I don't think I necessarily am. But you know, sometimes you have a drawing like this where you want to express how it feels, and this is how I've been feeling, or this is how I kind of felt 2 weeks ago. I don't really feel this way as much anymore, but I still wanted to draw this. So yeah, good for you. I'm glad to hear that, Alina. Hey Felix, not participating in the stream, but I'm ready for life drawing next week. Well, technically, you don't have to participate in drawing anything. You can just work on your own stuff. But glad to see you here, Felix. And don't forget, for those of you who are just joining in, just put @vonnart before any of your comments or questions. That way I can see it as I'm going between the drawing and the comment section. Dina says, there are basically 2 parts sliding, right? I just thought this would be underlined really well if there was a little split at the top, you know? Also, how about one side in negative? Ooh. I mean, possibly. I could see what you mean, where like one half is more of like a darker version. Actually, I might even cut off the hands. So they're like just floating. I might make the line even less obvious. I kind of want it to look like it's split down the center, but there's only a few speckles of, I don't want to say blood, I feel like that's a little gory, but indications that, you know, something's amiss. There we go. Maybe it's, I think this eye is just too high. There we go. It's very like neutral face, unaware that his head is splitting apart here. Oh gosh, yeah, I am behind on the chat here. Here we go. And then he says, with a lot of different tarot cards, it's important to find your own meanings with each design. This way the readings become more detailed and personal. Totally agree. And I think that's why I've been enjoying doing the tarot so much, is because each card, like even with the, I guess I can say it, but I'm only sharing the images of my next card with my Patreon people until it's more kind of finished. But the next one I'm doing is the Hanged Man, and that one has a lot of good meaning for me. And it's very much, it sounds like a morbid card, but it's actually more about looking at something from a different perspective. So he's hung by his foot, not from his neck. And it's a really great card of, you know, taking the time to look at something from a new perspective. And I really enjoy drawing that one. I've been having a lot of fun with it so far. Where I felt like the High Priestess was definitely more of like a, I have to make it elaborate, over the top, and I think it was a little too structured for my likes. This one feels more loose, and I'm able to work on it with a little bit more organic flow to it. Tijel says, if I visit, I would love for you to do a reading for me. I don't really believe in it as well, but looks like so much fun. I would definitely do it. Oh yes, medium. That's the word I was thinking of earlier. Thank you, thank you. I love doing readings on other people. I try to do no more than one a day, though. When I give a reading, I try to be like 100% present with that other person. I will do very little talking besides reading what the meaning of the card is, and I just want you to be the one kind of guiding what is being said. So yeah, I would definitely do that. Zhao says, it's cool to see such a monster of an artist like vonnart drawing. Oh, well, thank you, thank you. What was the other thing I want to share with you? Oh, yes. Okay. So I just finished this book called How to Be a Badass. I think it's Every Day. And I just finished it. It's by this author I really like. Her name's Jen Sincero, I believe. And one of the stories that were in it, I wanted to tell you guys, because I might even illustrate it, because I was just so moved by it. Oh, I think one of the cats are here. Oh, they ran off. So the story goes that there's these two buckets of water, and they're alive though. And every morning a girl takes both buckets on her back and goes down to the river. The only difference is one of the buckets has a crack on the bottom of it. And every day this girl goes to the river and collects water and then climbs all the way back up a really long flight of stairs. By the time that she gets back to the top, the bucket with the crack is really sad, and he looks at the girl and says, why do you even use me? I have a crack in me. I can't even do my job correctly. And she smiles at him and says, no, you do a job wonderfully. And she turns both of the buckets around to look at the path, and along the right side of it, there's a stream of flowers growing. And she says, every morning I fill you up, and as I walk up, you drip and let the flowers drink the water as I make my way up the staircase. So you do a job well, you just don't understand how you serve others. And it was one of those, like, it's obviously it's more elegantly spoken than how I just paraphrased it. But I just thought that was a really beautiful message of, sometimes we don't realize how we affect others maybe in a positive way because we can only see what's wrong with ourselves. And I actually might do an illustration based on that. I love the idea of, imagine if I drew a really long staircase and then on both sides there was nothing, but if there's like a pull tab or something underneath where as you pull it, as the story is being told, all of a sudden you see like the flowers, growing all along down the side the staircase. I think that would be a really cool illustration. I just realized I don't think this head is perfectly cut in half. I moved it over just a little bit there. There we go. I think for the hands, I'm gonna, you know what, before I even get into working with a darker pencil, normally at this stage, if I'm feeling it, like Mr. Krabs, I'm gonna go through and outline where I want the shadow forms to be. I also think that pinky is way too long. So this is where I will go in and kind of clean up my proportions on anything that feels a little off. You know what though? I feel like that hand's not giving me the pressure of like pushing against the side of the head. I think because the hand, and maybe I'm going to do the same for the other side, I really do think it needs to be more outwards, like that. Same with this side, I might change it. To give more of the look of like pushing against the head, keeping them together. Yeah, I feel like that gives me more of the impression I'm looking for here. Should I draw fast or slow? Well, T-Bot, I think you should tell me. Do you think you should draw fast or slow? I can only tell you, I think drawing slower. Well, there's like pros and cons to both because I think when you're in the initial stage of drawing, I think it's usually almost always better to draw a bit quicker. I feel that you tend to have more of a fluidity and motion to your line work if you kind of start off looking at it with a very gestural aspect. Which honestly, I think that's why some of my drawings look a little too tight because I draw slow sometimes even from the beginning. Like even with this one, I'm noticing there's some things that look a little off because I think I was trying to be a little too tight with the initial sketch. And as I continue to look at it, I'm thinking, okay, I need to edit this. Those hands need to really look like there's force, there's pressure being pushed against the side here. There we go. I might make the neck a little smaller on both sides. And then from here, I will go into starting to add some value. Because as much fun as the initial stage is, I really enjoy rendering. So that's where I really feel like I enjoy drawing the most. go. Like that finger is a bit too long. Sometimes when I draw hands, it's, little edits. And I'm sure the same for you guys. Sometimes what can really throw a hand off is if like one finger is just a little too long. And it just makes the whole hand look a bit strange. There. There we are. Wishy says, any hints how to keep on drawing when the piece is half decent, but a few extra hours would make it better? Maybe that is one of those instances where you just walk away from it for the day. And as much as you want to just finish it and get it done with, I know for myself, it's definitely helped when, if I really liked a drawing, sometimes I'll wait until the next day to post it. And that way it gives me, another day to have a fresh pair of eyes look at it and decide then, do I see anything that could be adjusted? One of the worst feelings is feeling that when you post something that like, that's it. You can't change it. Like that is, the definitive end to that drawing and you have to move on to the next. And I've had that before and I'm not saying that you have to have this, but I think sometimes it's inevitable to feel that when you post something, that's kind of it. That's like the final version of it. And I've done it before where in the morning I posted something and then I saw, oh, if only I would have edited that, or oh, if only I would have changed this a little bit. So I would always just give yourself another day to look at it. Okay, so now I'm going to start getting into placing the shadows that I want, now that I feel like I edited it a little bit more to feel better positioned with the hands, because those felt pretty off to me. Allude to the wrinkles. I like to draw hands in the similar way that Muka does, where he kind of simplifies them. And yeah, there might be little nuances like wrinkles or indication as to the skin folding on itself, but for the most part I feel it's very nuanced. I like those hands a lot, and I feel like I've been slowly turning towards more simplified hands, and in a lot of ways I feel like they're more expressive by focusing more on like the nuances and having those little bumps, little curves speak so much volume into the final. There we go. Man, I still feel like maybe that eye is just a little too high. See, as much as I want to dive into the values right now, I still gotta look at why is something bothering me right now about it. Maybe the line isn't perfectly straight. Oh, Lana
Lana _ Ray donated $1. Hi, I found your art and thought I wanted to create my new album cover. But now that I've seen you draw, I don't want your art anymore. Your terrible one eye is much higher than the other. The ear too. The eyebrow too. Gee.
Lana, I kind of agree with you. But thank you for joining me. I'm glad you found my work, even though you despise it now. Okay, I feel like that looks better, right? I mean, definitely not to Lana Del Rey standards, but yeah. So normally when I'm kind of in this type of a drawing, I might almost use the H, and this is a very high H, I'm using a 6H. And I'll honestly use this for pretty much the entire piece. And then only when it's time for me to really go in and make it darker, do I then go in with like a 2B. Or for this, I might even just go in with like an HB and see where that takes us. I'm gonna get really small with the details. Oh, I forgot to mention, thank you, Lana, for the $1. I almost wondered, I almost might like this better without the iris. Maybe like a subtle hint at the iris, but not really pushing it. Joao says, do you only use a pencil and an eraser to do all these amazing drawings you put on Instagram and Twitter? You bet. Sometimes, like when I'm doing my book stuff, and after I scan the drawing, when I put it into the actual pages and the layouts, I may edit some of the like white space. I might take like an eraser tool and erase some of the like areas that feel a little messy. But usually I'm pretty good at, taking an eraser all the way through the piece while I'm working on it so that things don't get too messy or I have to do a lot of cleanup. I mean, I do some digital stuff, but I really like the look and feel of pencil. There's something about pushing graphite around until you find a form or a contrast or some element that just feels good in the piece. I feel like you can get that definitely with digital as well, but I feel like I find more joy traditional. But every artist is different. I personally prefer working pencil. Tifalina says, do you look for hand models or look at your own hands for the positions, I mean? I definitely use my own hands. I don't want to say spider fingers, but I definitely have very long fingers that are easy to pose and easy to take a photo of whenever I need a position. Like even with these hands, I just, took a quick photo of my own hands and plopped it up. Now, I mean, I guess that's not to say you can't, use references online. I've definitely done that in the past too. But if you're someone who has hands that are, very easy to put in positions that you want to have in your drawings, just use your own hands. Or if you have a model friend that's really good at positioning like their fingers and they kind of know how their hands look towards the camera, I think that's really important too. But I think as artists, we usually can kind of know, what hand position looks good, what hand position looks bad. Oyasker says, do you have any tips for what kind of paper to use? Mine always gets wrinkled, also dented until I can't erase anymore. Also, any tip for drawing posture? So I almost always work with Strathemore mixed media. This is by far my favorite paper to work on. I've had a few different suggestions from other artists. I know Justin Gerard really likes this vellum paper that he recommended to me, and I actually bought it. I just haven't tried it out yet. But I do not like working on traditional drawing paper. If you ever get drawing paper from a craft store or like a hobby store, it's very thin. It's very easy to crinkle, kind of like what you're talking about. When I was in life drawing, that would happen all the time to me where I'm like pushing too much pressure with my other hand, and all of a sudden there's an accordion of a wrinkle on the page, and it drove me nuts. So I think ever since then, I've always made it a point to buy the thicker paper. And also, I like using mixed medium because it usually has more of a tooth to the grain in the paper, so you can see more texture if you take your pencil sideways and push the graphite down. You can see more of those little pockets of grain, which can be really fun to include in a piece. Okay. I feel like now I'm getting to that stage where I'm just cleaning it up everywhere. Some areas that feel a little off. I might even simplify the face more. Sometimes I like going not for like hyper realism. And I think maybe that's why I kind of like the idea of toying with a vacant eyeball, just white, just nothingness. Man, I also feel like both eyes might be a little high. Oh, do I do it? You know what? I have to. I feel like it's too high. I feel like half the chat just cringed just now. Whenever I erase a big chunk of a drawing, I know whenever I do it live especially, I always have a bunch of people being like, oh, why did you just erase all that? But, I mean, when you look at your work and you can tell something looks wrong, you gotta edit it. It's something that I definitely stand by, and I try to believe it and practice that. So if I'm doing something live and it's not looking right, I can't just go with the flow. Gotta work with erasing it first. When for such a straight on shot like this, I do feel you really want the proportions to feel good. If this was more of an action pose or like a 3/4, a side view, I feel like you could get away with slightly off proportions. When something's looking straight at you and the piece is meant and specifically split in half and just a little offset, I feel like it becomes really apparent when it feels even more offset. This eye doesn't feel terrible to me, but I think I am going to lower this one slightly too. Nad says, how long have you been drawing for, and at what point did it become your job? Your illustrations are amazing, by the way. Well, thank you, Nad. So I went to, I guess to summarize it pretty quickly, I went to art school for game art and design. So my background is actually more in 3D modeling and animation. Not so much animation, though, like really much more 3D modeling. And I mean, I did have some classes, though, some like traditional design classes, life drawing, all that good stuff. But I got a job right out of school with a company called CG Cookie, and they're a tutorial-based website. And they were primarily focusing on 3D. They just brought me in as like a concept artist to help with the 3D stuff. But then after I kind of made a point that maybe I could teach 2D stuff, they kind of gave me that position and let me teach full-time as a 2D instructor. And I was able to do that for a long time. And then I started going to conventions. Really loved doing conventions, and I did both. So there were a lot of weeks where I would work my 9 to 5 teaching job, and then on the weekends I would fly or drive to a convention, set up, work the whole weekend, come back, and then that following Monday get back to the 9 to 5 again. And I did that for like 4 years, and then I'm a pretty go person. But after 4 years, I was like, okay, I need to stop. I need to stop either doing cons or stop doing my full-time gig. And as much as I love CG Cookie, I just knew I was ready to try, being an independent artist. It just felt right. So how long have I been drawing for? My whole life, but I think I took it more seriously when I was like 20. Oh, well, thank you,
Stu
Shawa.
donated $1. Tim help. Come quick. Astro just puked all over your favorite mankini.
My favorite what? Man, get out of here. Well, thank you, Shawa, for the $1 and the very inappropriate message. No, I'm kidding. Keep them coming. So yeah, that was what I did for, I want to say 6 years, I think I was with CG Cookie. And then I've been doing this full time for like 4 years, 4 or 5? 4? No, I think it's 4. So yeah, and it's funny because, I talk to Josh a lot about this all the time too, because now Josh works with me and my younger cousin Jake works with me too, doing a lot of the shipping and, all the emails and all that good background stuff that us artists just aren't always the best at. Admittedly, I'm not great with emails. I would say I'm, not top tier with emails, we'll say. I'm not top. But I was going to make a joke about myself being a bottom, but nope. I'm just not a top tier emailer, and it's been really nice. I feel like I've been able to spend more time drawing and really focusing on what I really love about art, which is creating, art that means something to not only myself, but hopefully to other people. And then when it connects, all that good stuff, blah, blah, blah. You've heard this before. It is really nice, though. I don't want to downplay it because it is really nice. Where was I? Anthony says, I try to use my own hands for reference, but I remember, oh, right, I have sausage fingers. Sometimes that happens where I've had other artist friends say that they'll take reference photos of their own hands, but then just elongate them in the actual drawing because they also feel like they have stubby fingers. All right, now I'm going to slowly build up some of the values here. I love doing overlapping darker values. So whichever finger is usually closer to the viewer, I'll tend to make darker anyway. So you can see how this will be darker, and then the fingers underneath will be lighter. Although I almost don't want to make them too dark. I kind of like how plain and neutral set they are. Like these floating just hands. And at this stage, you can see how I'm really going in and I'm just kind of tightening up a lot of these lines here. Your art is crazy. Well, thank you. I would say it's a little nuts. Is it just me, or if it looks like Voldemort? I hope not. Because this is a reference photo of myself, unless if I'm trying to hide a deeper meaning. Maybe I am the Dark Lord. all these drawings and all these golden white illusions are just tricking you into thinking I'm not he who must not be named. Anthony says, have you ever tried making your own drawing paper? I feel like it would work really well with the overall theme of your traditional media market. I've never honestly given it thought. No, I can't say that I have. I'm not opposed though. I think if it was something where someone was able to teach me, or if I learned, from someone nearby. It's kind of hard with COVID because I feel like, well, I don't know. Maybe do you make your own paper in your own house? I honestly don't know how a lot of that would work. Like I don't know if you just use, ingredients or tools or whatever you want to call it, the raw material. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not opposed though. I can't say that on the stream. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, now I'm gonna work on cleaning up some of the face elements here. Like I said, I'm gonna keep it pretty neutral, almost as if it was made out of marble. I kind of like that illusion a lot. So rather than like over, amplifying the values and really pushing the form, I kind of like, tiptoeing on that line of realism, but also almost graphic design. I've been really enjoying that a lot recently, especially, and it's something I want to continue playing with. I mean, especially with, where did I put it? With drawings like this, where they're very bold, very dark, but very flat in a lot of the rendering, and I like that push against more of like these rendered lines here. And then for something like this, it's very different. And I kind of like when, art can be that for you. It can be a multitude of different variations of style and look. And even though I think these bolts still look like my style, they're still very different. Some days you want to do things that are more non-shaded, and other days you want to do something like this where everything is hyper shaded. And then sometimes, like when I did this one, I just really enjoyed rendering this cup. Rendering texture that has like a character to it is very fun for me. I really like doing this type of rendering. Like this type of rendering, it's still fun for me, but it's way more tight. It's not as like fun shading, moving really quickly. I feel like with this, I'm definitely a bit slower, and everything needs to feel positioned and placed just right. There we go. I feel like this palm needs to be a little thicker. There we go. Yeah, like that. So now, oh, why am I wearing my glasses? Sometimes when I'm doing traditional, wearing the glasses can be a bit of a nuisance, especially when I want to get really up close to my drawings. Yeah, I think I am going to leave the eye sockets blank. There's something about it that reads to me as being like a little more mysterious, or like maybe more off. I don't want to say more horror elements, but you can tell that something's just slightly off, and it kind of adds to the whole theme of this drawing, the whole message. See how just like those little, detail edges can really make a difference. Like between the left and the right side right now, you can tell how much more conclusive. Is that the right word? Conclusive? The side feels, or more defined? Yeah, more defined. I'm just gonna do a quick test. I want to see. I really like doing shading around the nose area. I feel like that may look like he got punched in the face. Yeah, I think we're going to keep it cleaner. There we go. Oh gosh, what are you guys doing in the, in the chat? Oh yeah, Oscar says, any tips for how to make legs more interesting? Oof. You know, honestly, don't do just a straight standing pose. So when you're doing like the initial silhouette, I like to have feet that are, have more of a bend to them, have more interesting shape dynamics to them. And I think same with arms, same with the body pose in general. I think if you're always trying to make something more interesting, it doesn't mean you have to be like dynamic and superhero and, action coming towards the viewer pose. Because I look at a lot of, classic, Renaissance paintings or once again, Mucha. He has very, very positioned poses, but then all of a sudden, like the finger, it might do like one pinky up while the others are slanted over. And this creates such a visual dynamic where a lot of the energy then is being pulled this way. Where if you have the other hand, let's say like if it was like holding a flower or something in this hand, if you had it like, let's say, or even like this, there we go. You can see how these hands have a little bit more of an interesting shape to them, but they're not necessarily dynamic. They're very posed, and some would say maybe even stiff to a degree. But this is much more interesting than like this. And I think if you think of that way with any part of the body, that's how I would go about making it more interesting. Ooh, I'm way off. There we go. Yeah, if I ever am way off the camera drawing, just let me know. Who knows, maybe I'm like slowly pulling it down while I'm drawing, and then eventually it's just this. This is the whole stream. There we go. Let's see, where's my reference hand here? I think I'm gonna do this eye now. This is the dreaded other eye scenario, where you have one eye that you feel pretty good about, and then you have to go to the other side and try to make the other side just as good in your eyes as the other side. And it's funny, no matter how quote unquote good or professional you get in art, sometimes this can always be a problem. Oops. There we go. Yeah, I'm starting to like how that looks. I like having some of the indication of this, the muscle that comes right below the eye socket on the inner eye. Like just allude to it even very subtly. Just a tickle of alluding, one might say. There we go. I almost have to I'm using my second monitor as my camera because I can't look straight down at it because that's where my camera is right here. Oops. I don't know what just happened on my phone. Oh. Ooh. Oh, that's exposure. Well, you learn something new every day. It's looking pretty much what I wanted. And sometimes like if a line, even though these are very thin lines, even if these are a little thick, I'll come back in and erase it. And I like when a line isn't like fully connected as seen here. You know what? No, I think for this one, it actually works better if it is connected. But it's good to try it. Okay, I think I'm almost ready to go darker. Oh, let's see here. Tigil says, it's moments like this that makes me miss the ability to make short clips for moments in the stream, just like we used to do on Twitch. I totally agree. Kat, my best friend, started streaming on Twitch on Sunday. She was here at the house, and she was playing Little Nightmares. And I was definitely clipping things left and right. I thought it was just so fun. That was honestly one of the biggest benefits from Twitch for me. But I did a poll, and on Instagram, it was voted that YouTube was the preferred platform for streaming, and it kind of took me by surprise. I thought I might be moving back to Twitch, but there are a lot of things I like about YouTube though as well. I shouldn't knock on YouTube either, but that was one thing I did miss from Twitch streams specifically. See, now we're getting to the nitpicky parts. See, I'm just like editing just a little bit, but those little bits add up. It's something that I don't know if I'm sure most of you have seen Spirited Away. Maybe not, but I guess I just assume. And I was always, whenever I get in discussions about Spirited Away, people always talk about, it's the little details and how Miyazaki pays attention to those, and that's why they're so good. And I think the same is very much true for art. When you see an artist really pay attention to those details, and it feels intentional and everything feels very thought out, I think it reads so much better. So I really do try not to rush any detail stage. I mean, I know there's some things like when we do life drawing, which, well, I guess I should mention next week we are going to be doing another life drawing stream. We're going to be doing the male anatomy for the male life drawing models. We're not drawing the male anatomy. So we did the female one last week, and if you want to join for another life drawing session next week, we will be doing it at the same time. Josh will be modding once again, and I'm pretty excited because I really enjoyed the last one we did all together. There's something about this hand I don't like. Maybe if I just have a curve to indicate where the palm kind of starts. Yeah, like that. Sometimes whenever a line is too dark, I'll literally just use my finger, plot it down, and lift some of the excess graphite. There we go. Maybe because I need more lines that go, yeah, there we go. It's like something needs more defining. Sometimes it's just one wrinkle. You add that in and all of a sudden the whole piece reads better. although I'm also very particular. I'm also peculiar, but I'm also very particular about how hands look. If something looks slightly off, I have to figure out what is it? Is it that shading here? Is it that wrinkle there? What's making this read weird? Okay, we're almost at the point where I'm going to use a darker pencil, I swear. Sometimes though I get just caught up in these little minute details. But like I said, I really do think they change the overall feeling and composition. So I'll make sure that it reads as best as possible before I start getting dark. Because once I start getting dark with my pencils, that's where it becomes very hard to erase. Actually, do I want to cap this off? I don't know. Maybe I'll look at it a little longer. I don't know if I want to cap it off. There we go. Let's see here. Oh, I'm glad, Alina. Yeah, I really want, when I do these, talk in chat or drawing with chat streams, I really hope that you guys are working alongside me, not just, I mean, I'm glad you're tuning in, but I hope this kind of inspires you to, work alongside someone else, that is in your field, another artist. And I do feel like it's easier to work knowing that someone else is working with you. Yeah, I know it helps me. It helped me a lot in the past. Nope, I don't like that shading there. Sharpen up this nose really quick. I mean, I sometimes get really close to my drawings. Up close and personal touch. Okay. So this is the stage at which I'll go a little darker now and really define some of these edges out. So I'm going to be working with a Orenz 0.2 mechanical pencil. It's a very, very small tip. Let me see it on stream, see it? And this is, I believe, a 2B. So like I said, I'm working a little darker here. Let's see here. Mastergate says, what brand of gold ink pens do you use? I like working with these. Let me pull it out of my pencil case. So it's a Deco Color Liquid Gold. They are awful to work with. They are frustrating. They are infuriating. They run out very quickly, but the results have been the best I've ever found. So as much as this is a frustrating tool to work with, it's pretty gold. It's pretty solid. Not pretty gold. It's pretty gold. But it is a very pretty gold. Where I tried using other markers, and even they kind of look like a permanent marker. When you use like a gold permanent marker, it doesn't have that same mirror reflectability factor that I enjoy so much from this pen. Now, because the tip on this pencil is so small, this is where I can really dive into these small details and give them a nice, clean, refined edge. Like that. Ella says, remember to put, oh yes, if you guys could put vonnart at vonnart before any of your comments or questions, that way I can see them in between. Oh! Decline. Oh, and that was actually my best friend, Kat. Doesn't she know I stream? Come on, Kat. It's funny though, the stream is notorious for, I really don't get that many phone calls during the day, ever. But for some reason, during my stream times, it's like the universe wants everyone to contact me when I'm literally, the only time I'm actually not going to answer is when I'm streaming. But you know how that is? It just happens. Especially moms. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but whenever you're doing something where you are just really busy, that's when they feel is the best time to call you. It's like they have that intuitive sense that, oh yeah, they must be really busy. Let me call right now. And you know, you always feel guilty for not answering. I mean, I always call back. I am good at that, but the worst times. So you can see here how adding just a little bit of that darkness touch can really pop out some of the line work. And I like to be very selective when I do this stage. So I don't try to just, make everything dark just because I can. With this type of a drawing, I like to, use it more effectively rather than all over. Hinida says, greetings from Venice Beach. Well, hello, hello, all the way from Venice Beach. Hello back from this northern tundra known as Wisconsin. Fem says, LOL, classic stream bingo check. Yeah, actually, we should bring back the string bingo. I thought that was pretty funny. I'm going to turn this so I can do the hand. I try to keep the drawing pretty much centered the entire time while I stream, but when I'm drawing in real life, I'm definitely turning the paper a lot more than when I'm streaming. But I feel like it can become a little disorienting. I'm just turning the paper constantly. Get rid of all these ghost lines. You know what? Even for this hand, I'm going to get rid of the shading going down the arm. I think it would just be more effective to have this kind of ghostly hand silhouette. Or outline, I should say. Nope, refocus. There we go. Alright, let's do each of these fingers here. Sometimes I move very slow with the fingers. I don't want to have to do what I'm doing right now, which is to erase and redoing some of the knuckles. There we are. I mean, these are very strong lines compared to some of these more fluid looking ones. And I try to have a balance of strong versus kind of more free form. But I think I might have to bring some of the free form lines back when I do shading. Also, I know I'm very late to this game, but Spotify is amazing. This is definitely showing how out of touch I was with the music world. I just signed up like 2 weeks ago, and it is so good. They recommend music, and I was relying on YouTube because I would just run through YouTube playlists because I didn't want to have to pay for a music platform. But I've definitely found it to be worth it, in my opinion. It's great. So I think eventually, if any of you are interested, I'll create like a shared playlist of the songs I listen to when I'm drawing the tarot cards, what songs I listen to when I'm doing the 5-foot underwater mermaid utopia epic. I think it's such a great music platform. You know what? That pinky feels too long. Ooh, hopefully I didn't make it too dark where I can't erase it. Sometimes that happens and I get really upset at myself. Something like that should definitely be done in the preliminary sketch. Let's see here. Hinata says, is there still a tight lockdown in your area? I mean, the states in general, yes. Wisconsin's a little more lax. I would say it's getting to the point where people are definitely ready to lift the ban. I think just because a lot of people are getting the vaccinations here. So I don't know. I like I said, I try not to speculate too much on things because I'm so out of the loop with most of it that I just keep focusing on drawing and let those things play out, and I'll definitely know when it happens. But what about you guys? I mean, I know it's different for everyone depending on where they are, but are you guys kind of getting out of lockdown in your area? I know overseas it's definitely different than here in America. Fem says, yes, next time vonnart should just answer Kat and have her hang out that way on stream. Yeah, right. Oh, I'm sure Kat would love that. Oops. There we go. I don't get too dark though, so I'm going to lift some of that. Because I don't want it just to read as all line art, like there to be some shading within it. Like that. I'm going to keep the eyebrows, I think, more blocked out. Yeah, I think I made the ear too dark. See, this is more of a personal preference, but when it comes to line art, sometimes I like having a heavier dark line, But I think like the further back it is in terms of like the elements in the piece, I try not to have it stand out too much amongst the things that I would rather stand out, like the outline of the head, the face as much. We have more like a stylized shadow under the chin area here. Heldon says, what's your favorite part of the body to draw? Mine is hair. I feel complete freedom with them. Yeah, hair is great. Especially, I've been doing a lot of spaghetti hair lately, a lot of freeform hair. My favorite though, probably eyes. You know what? No, I take it back. Hands. Hands are definitely my favorite. They can be a little difficult at times, but I think they're so expressive just on their own. I love them so much because of that. Them says, don't worry, I'll turn the screen if it is too disorienting. Oh, good. Oyasker says, I just have to say how awesome this format is and how motivating it is. I only started recently getting into drawing, and I've improved super fast thanks to all of this. The community is amazing. Well, that's great to hear. I think especially during times of this where they seem so divided, I feel like NFTs really caused a rift with a lot of artists. It's good to see that people are still finding, good or finding outlets within the creative community to improve upon their own work. Because I think it would be really sad if, having these huge debates with all these more well-known artists are causing a rift amongst the whole community. It just kind of shows you how big the community is, because there are some artists that don't even know what an NFT is, which is great, because that means that, the community is so big that there's so much going on with everyone that not everyone is up to speed with like another community of the art world. There we go. Hinata says, holy blank, really? Are you aware that One Direction has disbanded already? Yeah. Although I'm a huge fan of Harry Styles, I think his Grammy was well earned, and yeah, I was definitely a One Direction fan back in the day. I mean, it started more as a joke between my friends, as like they would poke fun at me for listening to the "What Makes You Beautiful" song when it first came out. But I just owned it. I was like, you know what? No, they're great. And then I got all about them. But yeah, I still think their music is. I mean, it's catchy, but I think looking back, I don't think I would listen to it as much now that I'm older. But it was fun at that time for sure. Hinata says, digital versus traditional, explain. Explain what aspect? I guess what's the most popular argument between digital and traditional? I mean, there's a lot of like which is better, but that's so, personal and subjective. I say personally, I would prefer working traditionally, but what else is the big debate? Oh, it's like the which is harder to do. I've heard that conversation a lot. I mean, personally, I definitely think traditional is harder of a medium. There's a lot to digital for sure, but I think because digital comes with a lot of ease of change and adaptiveness, that traditional, it's a little trickier to, erase something on the fly or edit a proportion, where in digital you can just liquefy it and you're done. Traditional, you'd have to erase like the whole head. Like a lot of a work that was done would be erased and edited from that point forward. Tiflina says, in Montreal, we have an 8 p.m. curfew, families stay in their own bubbles, restaurants only do takeouts and deliveries. That sounds somewhat similar to what we were living in. Not with the curfew, though. I mean, definitely during the BLM time, it was definitely a curfew, but not with COVID as much. I don't know if that was just a state thing or if that was other countries around the world. I don't know what the curfew limitations were. Fem says, yeah, still kind of in lockdown here with curfew and work from home is still standard. So weird because things are slowly reopening, but maybe next week they close everything again? Yeah, you never know. You know, we're living in this weird time where it's just uncertainty. We don't know when cons are coming back. We don't know when things are going to reopen again, when we can, go to a club again. And it's weird. It's like we become comfortable with uncertainty. And I think being more than a year later, I think we're starting to feel that pressure. And definitely in like late March, it really hit me that it's been a year since I was able to go to a con. And, that's like my full-time job. So having that being taken away from me and then really relying on online only, it was tough for a while. I won't lie. It was tough. I'm sure for a lot of you guys, I mean, COVID like uprooted everyone's normal way of existence. Yeah, it's a little too dark here. Yeah, I think that one's too dark. Helden says, here in Poland, people are getting more chill with COVID, but still masks are a must here, or must have. Shops are open, restaurants do takeout, etc. Yeah, that's what I just normally see from when I hear people across the pond talk about it. I do know a little Spanish, uh, but I don't use it often. uh, what would you like me to say? Like me llamo Timoteo. Uh, what would be like a normal thing I would say? Yo hablo español un poco y muy mal. If anything, I would really love to learn French though. That's kind of my goal because there's a good chance I'll be teaching in France next year for a workshop of sorts, and I would love to learn some French before I head over there. You know what? I don't think I'm gonna do the neck muscles as much. I kind of like it being more open here. Okay, I feel like we're getting to a close point of being done. We'll do a few more touches. So I guess as I'm going through kind of the final cleaning here, if there's any comments or questions you'd like me to answer before we head out, I will do my best. I guess I should also mention, if before you leave this video, if you could just give it a like, it helps with the YouTube algorithm. And a huge thank you from myself. Unless if you hated the stream. Then yeah, I guess me telling you to like it would be counterintuitive. Hinata says, although I would choose a good digital painting than a crappy traditional art. I mean, I think most people would also agree. I mean, don't get me wrong. I see someone, Ella, Tim always calling me out on the liquify usage. I mean, I have that issue too when working digitally. It's something that I try not to overly rely on, but I do tend to use it more. And then when I do traditional, like what you saw earlier, I had to erase both eyes. If this was a digital piece, I would literally just, liquefy it up a little bit. I'm going to work with a lighter pencil. I'm going to give some texture lines. So this is something where it might not even show up. It might not even show up that well on camera. But I do like to add a few scratch marks on some pieces to just give it more texture. Sometimes when a drawing is just too clean looking, I try to give it, just a little bit of those scratch marks. I'm not sure why. I don't know. I just personally like it. I still think I want to make this background almost pure white though. Originally I had some shading on it, but I think I would rather have the shading within, well, nope, I take that back. I'd rather have the shading on the outside. Here I was so confident that I wanted it on the inside. I think the outside makes the head look more blank, more like a negative space. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but when I'll post this on Instagram later today. You'll probably be able to see it more clear. Because yeah, it's very subtle. Ella says, how long do you plan to make the stream? Probably no more than like another 10, 15 minutes. I try to keep these kind of contained within 2 hours. But who knows? In the future, I might let the drawing with chat streams go a bit longer. Especially if I'm working on something more complicated. Like this was a very easy piece to create in 2 hours and talk with the chat. Because I think if I wasn't doing this live, this probably would have taken about an hour-ish, maybe hour 15. But when streaming, I think you kind of have to learn how to, look up, look at the comments, kind of have your concentration be broken momentarily, and then get back down to it. That is not flexing with my Spanish skills. Like I said, yo hablo español muy mal. Muy mal. Heldon says, what's your personality type? I always forget what it is. I've had other people have me take the test and they can remember, but I don't know if it just, those 4 letters, I can never remember them. I do know I'm pretty sure my first letter was E, which is extrovert. And I think even though I do enjoy being an introvert from most day to day, I think it's very easy for me to jump into an extroverted scenario and really enjoy it. But I do find myself getting drained from being around other people for like long periods of time. That's why when I travel, I feel like I can't be gone from home for more than 2 weeks. Then I start getting those, like, okay, I'm ready to get back home feelings bubble up. Like my one friend, Kat, she can just travel forever and be totally cool with it. But for me, I definitely enjoy the good old home life. I like drawing. I like having a good cup of tea. A backyard, maybe. It's weird in Wisconsin, though. Like, during the winter months, you aren't going anywhere. Your backyard is covered in snow. It's freezing out. But it actually kind of works, though, because since, like I said, I'm more of a homebody anyways, it's just a natural excuse not to go anywhere. Maybe that's why I draw so much. I can't go anywhere. And I never plan on leaving Wisconsin, probably for that reason. I feel like this shadow is a bit too dark. Fem says, COVID was difficult, but good for growing for me. I always liked certainty, but then I graduated, started a job hunt, and am now quitting my job in the kitchen to start a job as a modeler. I mean, that's great. I think COVID, I don't know, maybe this is out of line for me to say, but I feel that COVID for a lot of people was a time of like reawakening and almost repositioning and pivoting what your direction was and then finding something else, or in a lot of cases, in a very sad way, being forced to pivot. And I think a lot of my friends that I have in the art world, they just weren't ready to pivot. So for them, it was devastating. And for me, it almost was devastating. I felt like I could kind of rely on, social media and the following that I had there to kind of pivot all my attention and devotion into online sales and prints and making a card deck and launching a Kickstarter. And I felt very lucky. I'm very grateful that I was able to get through that, because if this was like 4 years ago, like right after I quit my full-time job, this would have been a nightmare. I would have probably had to take my job back up or get a part-time job somewhere else. Because I don't think I would have had the following at that time to make as much as I need to make now just to survive. It's crazy. The older you get, you have all these, payments, and like when your heater breaks, or the bath in our bathroom, we need to get a flooring. The wood underneath is falling apart, so you need to re-floor the whole thing, and you got to replace the wood, which costs a lot of money. But that's something that I'm very aware of when you buy a house versus when you rent somewhere. So I guess I did take on that problem my own. So I'm not even complaining, because I love house life. But I guess in terms of what COVID did, it literally ripped my full-time job away from me and was like, okay, best of luck. And I was like, okay, but I was able to scramble and, get things in motion. But I still want them to come back. I'm ready for cons to come back. I miss them. I miss seeing people. I miss hanging out with other artists. I miss traveling to other places around the country. And I mean, we were planning to do a France Comic-Con in 2020, but obviously that fell through. So hopefully we'll go back out to Europe for a Comic-Con of some kind to table at. I know next year we're probably going to be doing that France workshop, and then we're probably going to go to Scotland to visit one of the people that come to the stream every week, Jonathan Liddell. I don't think he's here today, but he's a very lovely, lovely person, and me and Josh want to go visit. See, Ella kind of remembers it. I think you were ENFP, because I think it was the same as me, but then that was years ago, and you said you feel more like an introvert lately. Oh yeah, Josh loves talking about personality types. I know I'm a Libra. I know my moon and sun is also Libra. What else do I know about myself? Nope, that's it. Other than that, I don't know myself at all. All right, can you start to see how that build-off of value is starting to read a little more clear on the camera? So then the headpiece becomes more bright, more illuminated. You know what? I'm going to do the same for the fingers. This will make the fingers feel much more bright. There we go. Yeah, I think I like this. I actually think I like it better with the eye sockets being empty. But to make the eyes look like they're glowing a bit more, I'm going to just lightly add some value around them. And that contrast will make the eye sockets look more illuminated. And I love playing with that kind of visual trick. I feel like that's one of the ones I use the most in a drawing. Fem says, yeah, it was really hard for me since it was already difficult to find a job in the animation industry, but then COVID hit and I kind of went with it and just took on something else until now. Yeah, I'm glad that you were able to do that. It is nice and kind of reassuring to hear when people were able to make it through, because I've heard a lot of horror stories on the other side where, this was just crippling and just devastating. I just feel for so many people that had to go through that. Kendor says, that's a mood. I don't know myself either. Oh, Jonathan is here. Big love, brother. Just in the door from work, but we'll make a quick coffee and grab a seat. We're about to finish. But it's funny that you popped in literally as I mentioned you, because I said we're going to Scotland next year. Or possibly this year. Well, honestly, at this point, it's probably going to be next year now because of all the restrictions and stuff. Oh yeah, Oscar says, why are people so disgusting? No, I love pupils. I love eyeball. Well, I really like double pupils. I think I don't even think I know I got that love from Kingdom Hearts growing up. All of them have the double ringed irises with like really small pupils. I love the look of that, and I think that's why a lot of my characters and a lot of when I draw people kind of that carried over. I have a little shading to the lips before calling the stream finished. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this one being finished. Maybe cut in some more lines here. It's so weird because obviously one eye is higher than the other. I have to keep telling myself, no, that's how it's supposed to look. Because I keep wanting to go in and edit it, and I'm like, wait, no, that's actually right, even though it's wrong. Okay, I think I'm pretty much finished. Might do some little edits after the stream, but I think I'm going to call this one pretty much done. Okay. I think I'm pretty good. And look at that, we're at the 2-hour mark. This was perfect. So I guess a big thank you to everyone who came and drew alongside and chatted with me today. Felt like it was a lot of me rambling about nonsense, but thank you for putting up with that. And thank you to all the donations. We had quite the celebrity cast of crew, of characters, of many personalities today. So thank you for that. I'm definitely going to keep the Texas Beach donation thing. I really like it. I think as I keep implementing more of these YouTube updates, I would really like whenever someone subscribes or donates or whatever, I really want my own art to come up and like animate. I would love to do that with dirt kids, or like randomly across the bottom of the screen you have like little dirt kids that just run across for no reason really, but I think it would be cute. So I do want to do more of those additions, and as the months roll on, you'll see these streams become more and more kind of unified in their presence and the look of them. So thank you guys for being here alongside my streaming journey as I try to continue doing this more frequently. And I think I will do more of these more casual ones where I'm just kind of drawing something that isn't necessarily a tutorial, but something that I'm working on. Oh, you know what? I wanted to clean or finish his hand though on the side. I forgot. Let me finish that off and then I will cut the stream. Candor says, also, I love eyes and pupils and stuff too. They are fascinating. Oh yeah. I think as artists, it's hard not to be fascinated by eyes. Jonathan says, that was so weird. I joined just as you mentioned that, haha, universe must be chatting. Also, you're going to love this resource, Tim. I really think, I'm assuming you're talking about Scotland, but yeah, I assume I'm going to just adore it over there. He has such a focus on nature. Ella says, you'll have to tell Josh his presence was missed on the stream. I will. You know, we were busy little beavers because the enlarged tarot card prints officially went up on the stores or was it yesterday? Monday night, kind of yesterday, and we were trying to catch up on orders because there were a good amount of them. So that is where he was today, but he'll be back next week for the life drawing stream. So his presence will be felt yet again. Candor. Tim being stereotyped artist. I'm just gonna do one more thing. Yeah, right. That's basically every piece I have ever done. Oh, you know what? Let me just. Oh, right. And you know what? Maybe if I erase it. And yeah, there we go. Oh no, one more. Yeah, I've definitely been in that cycle before. All right, but for real this time, I'm done. So thank you again coming to everyone that did. I will post this drawing later on Instagram. And once again, if you could join our Discord below, that way you can keep the conversation going and stay in touch with what streams will be next. And also, like I mentioned at the very beginning, if you have any really fun textiles that you really love, or maybe there's a story to why you like that certain fabric or that patterning, mostly patterning over fabric, if you post it in the stream suggestion chat on Discord, actually I already see some people doing it. Oh yeah, those are gorgeous. Yeah, if you could keep those going, I would love to see them, and it might actually make an appearance in the final drawing. And for those of you who want to see my tarot card progress, I already started it. I won't show it on camera because I try to keep it for my Patreon people. But if you want to join my Patreon, there's a link below. And actually, there's a new pin that every Patreon people are going to be getting at the end of this month. So we just got the shipment like a week ago. I'll show them off next stream. And I think that's all I got. So, one more thing. My Kickstarter pre-launch page, as they call it, launches on Friday. So if you want to be one of the first to get notified when the Kickstarter actually goes live, you can join the pre-launch page, and then they'll send you an email as soon as it launches, because I do have an early bird special on my new book. I think I have it as the first 50. So the first 50 you get $10 off of the new book. Okay, I'll stop yabbering. Okay, thank you so much everyone for coming to this live stream. I love you all, and I really appreciate you joining me while I'm drawing this and chatting, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Okay, bye everyone. Bye.